It started on a Tuesday, just like any other. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple over our little cabin tucked away in the woods. My wife, Sarah, was inside preparing dinner, and I was out on the porch just soaking in the quiet. That's when I heard it, a snap. Not a small twig, but something substantial, like a heavy branch breaking under an immense weight. I peered into the deepening shadows of the forest, my heart starting to pound a little faster. We were used to wildlife, deer, bears, the occasional mountain lion. But this felt different. The air grew still, unnaturally so. Even the crickets seemed to have gone silent. A massive, dark figure emerged from between the ancient pines, moving with a strange, fluid grace for something so enormous. It was tall, covered in dark, matted hair, and its eyes. They seemed to glow faintly in the twilight. It wasn't a bear. It was something I'd only ever seen in grainy photos and heard about in campfire stories. Bigfoot. My first instinct was raw fear. I wanted to run, to scream, to grab my wife and hide. But I was frozen, completely captivated. The creature took a few slow, deliberate steps toward our cabin, stopping just at the edge of the woods, about 50 yards from where I sat. It just stood there, watching me. It wasn't menacing or aggressive. It just was. Its presence was overwhelming. Ancient. It felt like I was looking at a missing piece of the world, something that wasn't supposed to exist, yet here it was. We locked eyes for what felt like an eternity, a silent, surreal conversation passing between us. Then, as silently as it appeared, it turned and melted back into the forest. I let out a breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. My legs felt like jelly. I stumbled inside, my mind reeling. "John, are you okay? You look like you've seen a ghost," Sarah said, concern etched on her face. I could barely form the words. "Not a ghost," I stammered. "Something else." The next morning, I couldn't shake the feeling that it hadn't been a dream. The woods felt different, charged with a new energy. I had to know. I grabbed my flashlight and cautiously walked to the spot where I'd seen the creature. And there they were, footprints. Huge, man-like footprints pressed deep into the soft earth, each one nearly twice the size of my own boot. The sheer scale of them sent a fresh shiver down my spine. This was real. As I followed the trail for a short distance, my light caught something nestled at the base of a large oak tree. It wasn't a rock or a branch. It was a small, crudely woven basket. My heart skipped a beat. This had been intentionally left here. Inside, cushioned by soft moss, were a collection of things I couldn't immediately identify. Strange, colorful stones that seemed to hum with a faint warmth, a cluster of berries I'd never seen before, and a single, large, iridescent feather shimmering with colors I couldn't name. It felt like an offering, a gift. I carefully carried the basket back to the cabin, my mind racing 1,000,000 miles a minute. What did this mean? Sarah was just as bewildered as I was. We spent the day researching the items. The berries, we discovered, were a rare, high-altitude fruit known in local folklore for its incredible healing properties. The stones, according to geological forums, were a type of geode found only in deep, inaccessible caves, prized for their unique crystalline structures. The feather, however, was a complete mystery. No known bird in North America matched its description. This creature, this Bigfoot, hadn't come to harm us. It had come to give us something. That night, neither of us could sleep. We kept looking at the basket, at the impossible gifts it held. The encounter had rattled our understanding of the world. We'd always been practical people, grounded in reality. But how do you explain a 7-foot-tall ape man leaving you a basket of mythical berries and mystery feathers? The following days were a whirlwind of quiet observation. We didn't see the creature again, but we felt its presence. A perfectly ripe apple left on our porch railing. A pile of dry firewood stacked neatly by our door when our own supply was running low. It was like we had a silent, shy guardian watching over us. We started leaving things in return: a jar of Sarah's homemade jam, a warm blanket on a particularly cold night, a handful of shiny bolts and screws I thought it might find interesting, and each time our gift would be gone by morning, often replaced with another of its own strange treasures. A beautifully carved piece of wood. A strand of what looked like woven plant fibers, incredibly strong and durable. A flower that bloomed even in the frost. A strange, unspoken friendship began to form between our two worlds. The fear I initially felt had been replaced by a profound sense of wonder and respect. This being wasn't a monster. It was intelligent, curious, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit lonely. It was about a month after the first sighting when everything changed. Sarah had been battling a persistent illness for years, a chronic condition that left her weak and in constant pain. Doctors had tried everything, but nothing provided lasting relief. We had moved to the cabin, hoping the peace and quiet would help, but it was a slow, difficult journey. One evening, she was having a particularly bad day. Seeing her so frail broke my heart. On a whim, remembering the folklore we'd read, I looked at the basket, at the strange berries. We were desperate. With a silent prayer, I mashed a few of the berries into a paste and mixed it with some warm water. Sarah was hesitant, but she saw the hope in my eyes. She drank it. We didn't know what to expect. Maybe nothing. Maybe a stomachache. But the next morning, something miraculous happened. For the first time in years, Sarah woke up without pain. The color had returned to her cheeks. She felt good, truly good. We were stunned. Over the next week, she took a small amount of the berry mixture each day, and her strength grew exponentially. Her doctors were baffled, calling it a spontaneous remission. But we knew. We knew it was the gift from our forest friend. The Bigfoot hadn't just left us some weird berries. It had left us a cure. It had given Sarah her life back. The weight that had been on our shoulders for so long was finally lifted. Our lives were transformed. With her health restored, Sarah's spirit came alive again. We started hiking deeper into the forest than ever before, feeling a new connection to the wilderness around us. We felt protected, watched over. The creature's gifts kept appearing, though it remained unseen. It was as if it knew we understood, that we were grateful. We continued our silent exchange, a bond of trust forged across the boundary of species, of known and unknown. The experience changed how we saw everything. The world wasn't just what you could see and prove. It was bigger, more mysterious, and infinitely more magical than we had ever imagined. We were living in a fairy tale, and our friendly neighborhood Bigfoot was the gentle giant at the heart of it. We never sought to prove its existence to anyone else. This was our secret, our miracle. To try and capture it, to expose it to the world, would be a betrayal of the incredible trust it had shown us. It was a guardian of the woods, and in a way, it had become our guardian too. What started as a terrifying encounter on our porch became the single most important event of our lives. It taught us that the greatest gifts don't come in fancy wrapping, and that sometimes the things we fear the most are just things we don't yet understand. Our lives were forever changed, not just by what it left behind, but by the simple, profound fact that it exists at all, and we will be forever grateful. Thank you so much for joining me on this incredible journey today. It's a story that's very close to my heart, and sharing it with you all means the world. If our story resonated with you, please consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel for more tales from the edge of the map. Stay curious, stay open-minded, and we'll see you in the next video.